he gets another back that has a big game, what do we always know, Barry? Ingram is about to have a big game the next game, right? Because what's the motivation? And is it a lack of consistency there? Or like you said, Bob, is it a lack of trust? So those are some of the things that we need to pay attention to. Hopefully we will have Mike calling in pretty shortly. I sent him the info. He said will do. So let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen with the offense. Willie Snead gets suspended. The Saints are down to 4 active wide receivers. Do we believe that this wide receiving core can be able to hold up for the next several games until Willie Snead comes in to play? But before we even go into you guys answering that, we have Mike Detillier on the line. What's going on, Mike? How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
All right, this is Kyle T, man, and so happy that you were able to join us again this season. Mike, I'm going to let Barry Hirstius take it away since that's your buddy, and he's going to ask you some very important questions for the Who Dat Nation.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mike, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, Barry, thank you.
Yeah, we're so honored to have you, sir, and we appreciate you coming on with us every year at this time, and I want to ask a few things of you, sir. The first thing that stands out, this draft class is phenomenal so far. Anyway, we don't want to overhype it as I'm prone to do. But look, we're talking about 5 players, potential starters, with Lattimore, with Ramczyk, with Marcus Williams, with Kamara, and maybe even Alex Angeloni. It looks like Robertson will probably get the start at the will, but so you're talking about 5 players, potential starters, and then even Muhammad looks like he'll be a contributor, and of course we'll see what Hendrix does down the line. But I don't know about you, Mr. Mike, but I can't remember a Saints draft class that was potentially this good. I think you got to go back maybe to the Jim Mora 1986 class. Maybe even Sean Payton's 2006 class, and to me, the best class ever, the 1981 class with Bone Phillips. In your opinion, is this one of the best Saints draft classes ever?
Well, that's tough to answer now. Potentially, it's got you got some players there, and I think in today's NFL, man, this stuff about redshirting and everything else, you can't do it. And this football club can't afford to. You need players to help you now. The impressive part about this is that you can only talk about and write about what you see at the present. And what you see is a really good class that has shown up in the practice sessions and in preseason games. There's always an adjustment period from preseason to regular season. It's a big jump in that the level of competition, the aggressiveness, the speed of the game, the physicality of the game gets raised 4 notches from what you've done in practice and from what you've done in preseason. And I'm anxious to see how the young guys hit the regular season and how productive they can be. They can't afford to have guys watching. They need players, and especially on the defensive side of the football. So I'm excited about this draft class. What I see in Marshawn Lattimore, and doing this real quick with all of them, what I see with Lattimore is a guy that's really good one-on-one coverage. Notice this in camp. He's excellent. One-on-one downfield, man coverage. When they put him in zone or off coverage, lost. I mean, you can tell he hasn't done a lot of that. And you can see Aaron Glenn kind of in his ear about, listen, eventually that zone turns into a man. You got to cover someone. And so what you see is a very talented guy, athletically arrogant, but he's got something I can't teach, ball skills. they got a lot of big, fast guys in this league that can't play because they can't find the ball in flight. People say, well, how can that be? Well, I've done this 32 years. I've seen a lot of them like that can't find it quick enough at the NFL level. He does. With Ramczyk, you got a kind of a small view window of what he can be. Again, you're talking about a guy who's only started 1 year at a major college. He was dominant a year ago at that left tackle position for Wisconsin. Big physical guy, got some good and bad lessons in training camp going up against Cam Jordan each and every day. And he didn't break mentally. And just like that, left tackle, you on an island. You've got to sometimes, and a lot of times, you're not going to get a lot of help. You got to be able to understand that you're not going to win every battle. He's mentally tough. What I see in him right now, really good run blocker. Still needs a little bit of work from the pass protection standpoint, where when a guy kind of gives him maybe a spin move or something, he's got to adjust a little bit quicker. But you can see he's got some talent, real big-time talent. Marcus Williams, almost from day one, smart, intelligence. Again, a feature I can't coach. Either you or you're not. And he's got it. And he can find the ball in flight. Great on the center field part of the game. Has gotten better in taking better angles to the ball carrier in run defense. But where he's going to make his mark is in that big nickel alignment. If it's with Vaccaro and Bell or Vaccaro and Raphael Bush, you're going to see a lot of Marcus Williams in that big nickel, which they're going to play a lot of. And so I was impressed with his ball skills. He had one bad moment where he tried to catch an interception like a punt. You got to figure out this ain't the Pac-12. So he caught a pretty good earful about that. About, listen, you got to go up and get it. You just can't wait for it to come down. Anzalone has had his moments. Impressive athlete, can run the field well. What I really like about him is his ability to get in reverse, and that he can cover pretty well. Now, mentally, he's had some blow-ups assignment-wise. Over-aggression, sometimes, he'll drop back instead of stepping up or stepping up instead of dropping back quick enough. But you can see he's got a lot of talent. Hopefully he can stay healthy because I think eventually he's going to be a starter at that will linebacker position. Craig Robinson's got the nod because he's got a lot of experience in his pockets. He knows what to do on every play. I'm not sure at this point Alex is at that point, but he's going to help this defense out. Trey Hendrickson was hurt because of injuries, but we've seen him a lot in that NASCAR package where they move him inside. Long, lean athlete, leverage player, got a real quick takeoff, hot motor, doesn't quit. Now, he's a little light, so if I see him out there, I'm going to run the ball at him. But you can see he's going to be a situational pass rusher, and he can certainly help out there. I think the most impressive rookie I've seen has certainly been Alvin Kamara. He's got Reggie Bush-type skills as an edge runner, tremendous receiver downfield. He's a mismatch because of his speed. One thing he will see, and Deuce McAllister and I were talking about this, as the regular season goes, they'll have a big safety or a linebacker try to get physical with him at the point of attack, real close to the line of scrimmage. He hasn't faced much of that, in a game situation. So that's going to be a little bit new to him. But, man, if they don't chuck him, he's downfield in a flash. Built along the same lines as Reggie. I think Reggie was a little bit faster on the hoof than he is. I think Kamara's a little bit quicker and is a little bit better inside runner than Reggie was. Both were great receivers, and both can take it to the house anytime they touch the football. I think the biggest shock has been Al-Quadin Muhammad. Watching him the first week, he was pedestrian in training camp. Nothing really kind of shook out for us. That was concerned. And so I got to talk to him. This was probably the 7th or 8th practice, and he said, I'm just coming along. I'm working hard. I just want to do enough that they're going to give me more reps. And you saw the following week he made a little progress. And then the week right before the Cleveland game, it opened up, and he started to make some plays. Again, he had a very quiet, very, very quiet first week and maybe even a couple of days afterwards. But he's been the talk. And his story about how training camp was for him is similar to what Marcus Colston's first year was, where Marcus, he didn't jump out at you the first week or a few days at camp. It was week 2 and beyond. And the same thing has happened with Muhammad. The more reps he's got, the more he's got a real quick step off the line of scrimmage, knows how to use his arms and hands real well, good leverage player, got excellent closing speed to the quarterback, and he causes havoc. And not only has he gotten pressures and sacks in games, he's also been accountable for 4 holding penalties where that guy just couldn't match up against him, so he held him. And so he's been the shocker that I thought he was more of a developmental type player. And after the first week, I would have said that 100%. But afterwards, man, he's been something. And you see him a lot in the nickel packages and also as a designated pass rusher. So I'm excited. And let's see if they can turn what practice and preseason, because really preseason is practice anyway, can turn that into real-time play in the regular season.
Yeah, fantastic breakdown, sir. And you pretty much answered what my second question was going to be, which was who is the standout player in the class to you so far. I think it's probably a little bit of everybody, honestly. So probably.
Well, one of the things too was Mitchell Lowen, who Justin Zimmer, I thought early showed up big, and Mitchell Lowen was very similar to Muhammad in that it was like the second and a half week when we were all kind of just talking, and Bobby and myself and Nick Underhill, and Nick was saying about, the one guy seemingly making some plays out here is Mitchell Lowen. And you could see that he had finally, the light had kicked on with the reps got into his head, and he was able to compute it and then understand what he had to do. And saying all this, I think the guy who's done a terrific job has been Ryan Nielsen, the new Saints defensive line coach. Ryan came in here. Now, I've known Ryan for a long time. I went to visit Coach O when he was the defensive line coach at Southern Cal, and he was a recruiting coordinator, defensive line coach, and that was Ryan's final season. And Coach O had told me I'm going to hire him as a GA. And the next year he was the GA at USC. And then when Coach O got the job at Ole Miss, Ryan became the defensive line coach for Ole Miss. And then, we haven't seen each other in a little while because he's kind of bounced around quite a bit. But we got to spend a lot of time at the Nicholls State offensive defensive lineman camp. And, we were doing an interview for Thibodeau Regional Medical Center, and one of the things he brought up to me is, listen, I'm working with the young kids on a lot of new techniques, how to get off the snap, energy. He almost sounded like Coach O. I mean, he doesn't talk like him, but he certainly sounds the same sort of language that he was talking about, energy and technique and takeoff and have everything right. And you can see it. This has been Cam Jordan's best camp. He's been terrific. He's been the best Saints player out on the field, the best out there. He stood out virtually every practice session when they had to going up against someone, when he's played in games. He's a stud player, and he has really shown up big. Alex Okafor, his play, he's talked about how Coach Nielsen's worked with him. Sheldon Rankins. We've talked about the young kids coming through. Ryan Nielsen's done a great job with a lot of young talent. But Mitchell Lowen, who's played, he told me has played 6 different positions, was barely recruited, got caught at a camp, and got recommended. That's how he ended up at University of Arkansas. other than Muhammad